Yeah, so Kyle should be doing her pregame in about 10 minutes and then make a call from there.
She feeling better than last game?
Yeah, no, it's been kind of a gradual build up each day, feeling better each day.
So kind of game time decision, but you're feeling okay about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking to Bridget Carleton, she's mentioned that I think in a post-game presser that she's taking threes that she never would have taken previously, and has mentioned the training and no shot is the same. Is that something that you've implemented specifically this year? I know you bring some innovative approaches, but what's the...
You know what? I'm so glad this question's come up because I just want to push the case for BC for Most Improved Player of the Year. And I'm shocked that no one who's looked at the advanced analytics in the media has actually spoken about this more. It's historic, the jump she's made. I think if people start diving into the records, it's BC's one of 6 players in league history where her usage has doubled to this rate. And the incredible thing is she's actually more efficient than she was in Minnesota. So she's doubled her three-point attempts. I think it's something like 7.2 versus, I think it was 3.2 last year. And not only that, but she's shooting it better than in Minnesota. Much harder complexity in terms of when you look at the advanced stats in type of contest, off the dribble, going both ways, and just the shooting numbers are incredible. So I think, I wish, I'd love for the media to actually dive into those numbers more with BC, take a look at that, because I think we got a real case for Most Improved Player of the Year here. So I'm really glad the question's come up. To answer the question, I think first, BC deserves a lot of that credit. I think just in terms of stepping up and knowing the shots we want her to take in the offense and having that green light, I think that's so important. And then it's, she's bought into the type of practice, and I think that's a big part of it, because it's, it can be coming in once you have shot, with when you have your shooting routine as a great shooter, it can be hard to come out of that sometimes and then adapt to doing something very different every single practice. And that's what we're really trying to do, where, with all our players, the shooting practice is going to be different every single day. And I think just, the way I view that, I don't think it's anything too radical, because if you think about it, every shot you take in the game is completely different. And if you were to watch, say a player shoots 200 threes a season, if you were to watch every single three, everyone would be slightly different, just because the constraints, the environment is different. So that's kind of the whole mantra we have in practice, and kind of we said to the coaches at the start of the year, if they're only doing the same 3 shooting drills their whole career, really we're putting them at a disservice, because we're just not exposing them to the variables of the game environment that they need to be successful in. So our coaches do an incredible job just buying into this. And, even post-practice, I never want to see spot shots. It's just, use that time to make the players better. Every single rep they take counts. Everything needs to be planned. And our coaches just do a great job going out there, and, you see all the coaches pregame and they're all doing it. And it gives me a lot of joy to watch that and see how the players are bought in.
Has Bridget been even better than you thought? Because, at the day of expansion draft on your list, that she thought that she could be a potential future all-star. Like, I saw that kind of potential in her, having a little bit more usage. Is this kind of even more than what you expected?
Yeah, I think so. And I'd say to that, Sean, I think what's even more impressive is her defense. Normally, if you increase your usage it doubled. Her usage has doubled, more than doubled, which is incredible. Her defense has actually got better too. It's remarkable, to see her. So that's why I think, it's the case for Most Improved. I think it's about a lot more than just looking at box score stats. I really do. And, it's, of course, there are a lot of deserving candidates in this league. I think we've got a lot on our team. If you look at Carla, Emily, Meg, 2 in the mix. But I think when you dive into some advanced metrics and you look at things like on second spectrum and things of that note, I think people would enjoy taking a dive and seeing some of the transformations there with BC.
You mentioned your practice strategy is pretty unique. Where did you kind of first come up with that strategy, and how do you think the buy-in's been so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you it was 8 years ago. I was 23, so even younger. I was at a coaching summit in the United Kingdom, my hometown, my home country, and it was a really good conference. It was called The Future of Sport Coaching. So the title, when I first saw it online, it kind of drew me in. Knew nothing about skill acquisition, motor learning science. So I just went, it was a 2-hour drive from my home in the countryside, just curious. And it just blew my mind. I remember sitting there at the presentations. They had like skill acquisition researchers there. I had no clue that there was even a science to coaching. I just thought it was all feel and championship productions, DVDs, and so I went, and a lot of the words I really had no clue what they meant. It was things like nonlinear pedagogy, self-organization, affordances. And I was like, wow, I really need to go away and try and learn this stuff. So after the conference, I drove a soccer coach back, football coach, to drop him off in London on the way back. And we were just talking for like 2 hours about CLA, and it was all new to me. So that's what led to me kind of going down this rabbit hole of just coming across the research papers and really just connecting with a bunch of people in the field. And there were no examples in basketball at the time. A little bit in sports like field hockey, soccer, but very small, like just not widespread. So I was working for the league office, NBA league office, and I was like, all right, I got a coach to really figure this out, got to go to an environment where I'm on court like 4 hours every day. So that's kind of what I did. I took a step down in my career to then take a step up later. Had 4 years coaching youth basketball, 1 year in Belgium, 3 years in Italy, and that was just the perfect scenario to learn this stuff, because I don't think you can ever learn it in a pro environment from scratch just because of the pressure of the day-to-day job. So it was kind of a unique opportunity that allowed me to really get to grips with this. And it's kind of just a continuous journey. I think kind of when you buy into these ideas, I think you really got to believe in the idea that you're never a finished product as a coach. So it's the mindset, like every day I'm going to try and get better. Like how are you going to use your time pregame to learn something when you wake up? And it's, there's so much in the skill acquisition community of coaches all over the world now who are kind of using this more. I think in basketball, we've only glimpsed the surface of its potential. It's very, very early days, but I think there are definitely more conversations about what it is. I think there are a lot of misconceptions as to what it looks like, but I'm really pleased to see how much our players have bought into it and our staff. Long answer.
Has your approach evolved as far as how you kind of communicate all of this stuff to players? Because a lot of the language you were just using, a lot of stuff in your book, it's also technical. Like I can see how it can kind of get lost on players who don't, or not just players, but on anybody. If you don't explain it in a way that like it's just easy for a regular person to understand. Like, how do you kind of?
So, I learned a lot from Coach Atkinson. I think Kenny is one of the biggest proponents of CLA, and it's why his player development, the reason it's like the best in the NBA in my opinion, is because he's so like educated on this stuff. But not only that, the way he pitches it to the players. You never need to use the complex words, and I learned a lot from Kenny. Like, you make jokes about it, you jump in the practice reps and you do shots off one leg, and that you take fun of yourself in front of the group, but you show yourself doing it. Like even pre-game workouts, I do it too, and I jump in there and I'm doing the variability in my workout. So it's almost like everything you do, the players see you really believe in it. And then you give the why presentations. So Kenny actually gave me the chance to do that in Cleveland. We did one when we acquired James Harden. We actually did one to the group, and it was like, well, we've been doing this for 2 seasons now. Let's actually talk more. Like, we've had lots of conversations about it. It was part of our practice DNA. We were all in, but let's actually give you 4 minutes and talk a little bit about the basics and the essence of this and where it comes from. And it was awesome. I remember the guys, like James said, it was like, this is just like the game, because every shot I take in the game is different, and it's the players here. I've said, speaking with BC, Carlo, like when we spoke about this at the beginning, they said very similar things. So I think what that shows is that players are really smart, really intelligent, and I think they see why stuff like this is important and how it helps them become better. And it's just intuitive. I don't think you ever need to really unpack the science. It's more very basics of where it comes from. You can talk a little bit about things like block versus random, but they get it. And then it's more fun. It helps them improve. I've never seen players not buy into this.
That's great stuff, Coach. Sorry to dumb this down with a question about scouting.
No, it's great.
You're going to see the Storm this time. You've seen them with Flage throughout the season. Now you get to see them without Flage. How does that change your preparation for the game?
Yeah, I think trying to, without revealing too much, I think once you get to play a team, this is the fourth matchup now, so I've got a really good idea in my mind. I like to think, changing the game as to like what the game plan is for what we're trying to achieve with a team that has such dominant bigs. And I think that's the most important thing. I think there's always something that will beat you in a game plan, but it's always a case of, all right, what is the thing that we are happy to concede versus the thing that we're going to stand for that we don't want to give up. And I think, that was probably apparent in the last game. And I think, but, I do like experimenting with game plans. I always think things can be improved. So I think definitely, watching the last game back, there are some things there I want to experiment with more tonight.